Hello and welcome to Getaway Day. My name is Gautam. His name is Mason. And here we are for another week of podcasting in the middle of June. Mason,
It's the middle
thank
of
you for
June.
being with us.
You're welcome.
Uh,
I tried to sleep
I, was
through
go-
this episode, but
I heard you had a little bit of an early start, but I'm glad you're with us.
yeah, I
I'm
woke
glad
up
you're
at 6:40.
podcasting.
That's so early for me specifically.
Yeah. Well, I think the listeners appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being here. And today we've got a very packed rundown of all kinds of stuff to talk about, including our favorite teams, the Cubs and Cardinals, who are getting together for a 4-game series.
Favorite's a bit of a stretch. I'm
It's
kind
a
of pulling
love-hate
for
relationship.
Seattle right now.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair. And then we've got some other transaction stuff, a hot team in the Rays, a DFA that is
Absolutely
surprising, but
heartbreaking.
not surprising.
Absolutely heartbreaking.
Absolutely heartbreaking for Mason.
Yep.
And yeah, so let's get into it. So, Cubs and Cardinals starting a 4-game set in St. Louis this week. It's the first time they've played all season. First off, I have to say, like, that is a little bit of an absurdity of the new schedule
Well,
with balanced schedules.
and I have a stat with that.
Okay.
This is the latest in the season that the Cardinals and Cubs played their first head-to-head game, of which they're 14 now. Used to be 19, now it's 14. But this is the latest that they've had their first game against each other since 1997. My thinking is 1997 was the first interleague season. You only played like 2 interleague series. How did it take them that long that year?
Yeah, that's odd.
Oh well. But yeah, so
Like I don't mind the balanced schedule. I'm fine with 14 versus 19. That feels okay, but I feel like they should prioritize these rivalry matchups throughout the season.
yeah. Like
Like I get that making the schedule is challenging. Like it is very hard to schedule 30 teams for an entire season, but that should be higher up the ranking of priority for things that they should be trying to maximize.
it should. Because like the Cardinals are basically done with the Brewers now. Like
Oh, really?
I think there's maybe like one more series with the Brewers the entire rest of the year.
Yeah, and actually now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure this was flipped last year between the Cubs and Cardinals. They played basically all their games in the first half. So truly the Cardinals and the Cubs may not have played since like the middle of last season. So it's been almost a year, I think, since they've played.
Yeah.
Um
Which is ridiculous because it is one of the more or one of the more storied rivalries in the MLB.
yeah.
And
The g-
both teams are good right now. This is a really good time for them to be facing off against each other.
yeah. I guess the flip side is that now they have a lot of head-to-head matchups that truly could determine the result of the division. So that'll be
Yeah.
cool. We'll get to see
And
a lot of Cubs Cardinals.
and in a way, it's kind of cool to see it as like the Cardinals have proven themselves to be a good team
Against
against
other teams. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, even if you're looking at like the Cardinals playing teams above 500, like the Cardinals have been very good against teams above 500. It's oh shoot, that's the wrong. That is MLB TV. Let's go to .com. Because this is something that surprised me when I was looking at the standings page. The Cardinals are oh, it moved on me. Dang it. I was going to say they are not that bad. Okay, so as of late, the Cardinals have not been playing well. They are now below 500 against teams over 500. But as of like 2 weeks ago, the Cardinals were like 3 or 4 games above 500. Yeah, that certainly kind of pokes a hole in my thought process here. But
But I see your point.
but
Like up
they're
till
close to
recently,
500 against good teams, which is how you need to play against good teams while crushing the bad teams.
yeah, it's very respectable to be 500 against over 500 teams. It's not
Yeah,
that bad.
because then you look at the Pirates. The Pirates are 20 and 39. Like that's bad.
Yes.
21 and 24 and having a 4-game set against one of those teams, pretty respectable. You get
Yeah.
back to 500 pretty easily. And in fact, the Cubs aren't even above 500 against over 500 teams.
Oh, what's their record?
24 and 25. But
Okay.
the point being that they're neck and neck as far as that's concerned. It's a toss up on if you're going to beat a good team or not on any given day, but it's more likely than not you're going to beat the bad team, which is exactly how it should be for a competitive ball club. Then you get
So
like
let's see.
the Tigers, and the Tigers I think are a little bit special because actually the Tigers are only 23 and 20 against good teams. They've not played all that many. But the best team against good teams. Let's see, who would that be? Um, honestly, probably the Tigers or the Astros. 3
So
games
even the
above.
best team
Oh
in the
no,
league
sorry,
is
Tampa. Tampa is
Tampa.
26 and 18.
Oh, that's impressive. Yeah, we're gonna get to Tampa in a little bit,
The
but
Rockies have 8 of their 18 wins against good teams.
wow, impressive.
All right, moving on from that point.
Yeah, so I think overall this season for the Cardinals, they've been a little bit of a surprise. The Cubs have been consistently playing well, I guess, throughout the season. Um, they've kind of dropped off a little bit in the last few weeks. I think you could say kind of the same about the Cardinals,
Yeah,
actually.
I mean both
But
teams in the last 2 weeks are about 500. Like it's not a bad stretch by any means, but it's definitely worse than what their winning percentage was before.
yeah. So I thought I'd ask you some questions about the Cardinals, because you're the expert of this podcast on that team.
Well, that's a big word you're using right there.
You're the
I would
co-expert on this podcast.
I would say I am the slightly more knowledgeable. I don't know that I would use the word expert.
Okay, fair.
Um,
Yeah, I know people don't like to be called that a lot of times.
it puts a lot of pressure on me, and I get things wrong a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
So, all right, but hit me. What do you got?
Okay, so my question about the Cardinals is about their starting pitching, which has definitely been a big surprise for them. Uh, Coming to the season, they were not like expecting their starting pitching to be a strength of the ball club, and I think it's pretty safe to say they actually have been. However, the way they're doing it is not by like getting a lot of strikeouts. I think they're 28th as a staff in strikeout rate. And the last few weeks have been a bit rocky, where guys have kind of taken a little bit of a step back. I'm thinking of like Miles Michaelis and even like Matthew Liberatore, who started off red hot and now he's kind of fallen back down to his level, I would say.
Yeah,
So
well,
how
I
are they
mean,
doing
you
it,
say
and do
that,
you
but you
believe in
also
it?
see how he's pitching right now today.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it's important to note the first game between these two clubs is going on as we speak. And as we're recording this, it's the bottom of the 5th inning of a pitcher's duel. So this is definitely an interesting time to talk about this. But yeah, no, you're exactly right here on the Cardinals pitching staff, though. They have a 19.5% K rate as a ball club. That is low.
28th.
28th. One of the best things the Cardinals have going for them is their homers per 9, which as a ball club is 0.8. That is very, very respectable. The Cardinals only give up home runs on 9% of fly balls, which is one of the lowest in the major leagues. The Cardinals for years have actually built their staff this way. The Cardinals have not had a big strikeout guy since Chris Carpenter, like a legitimate ace strikeout guy. Sonny Gray is the closest thing we got to it now, and Sonny is fairly good at striking guys out. He strikes out at a 25% clip, which for a Cardinals starter is amazing.
Is Chris Carpenter really the last strikeout guy, you would say?
He's like the last like consistent one. Jaime Garcia, maybe.
I'm trying to think.
Carlos Martinez.
Yeah, he had some strikeouts for
He
sure.
had strikeouts, but he had just as many walks. It seemed
True, yeah.
so.
Yeah, I mean, you might
But
be right about that.
But yeah, so like in actual like dominant pitcher that struck guys out, Chris Carpenter was the last one, and he retired after 2012. or no, 2013. I think he was on that club. But the point being, that's not how the Cardinals have built their teams since about 2011. Like, they have built their club on solid defense and ground ball pitchers, and it's been working for them again this year. I mean, the team's ground ball rate is 46%. Most of the balls being hit against them are either line drives or hit directly into the ground and can be eaten up by some spectacular defenders in Brendan Donovan, Mason Wynn, Victor Scott, and Nolan Arenado. And those guys are so good. They cover basically the whole infield. Wilson Contreras is coming along at first. And when you have a non-DH catching, that would be Pedro Pajes, you have really good defensive play from your catcher. When Herrera's healthy and at catcher, not so much, but that's not why we keep him around. So really, you have 6 of your 8 positional spots that are great at defense and stifle these other teams to the point where the Cardinals runs allowed per game is actually right in the middle. It's middle top. It's somewhere around 11, I think. I got to count it. Oh no, I'm going the wrong way. Sorry. Middle bottom. It's like number 17. But they're scoring more than they're giving up. They're not giving up the long ball, which is where you're getting a lot of those RBIs and free runs. So it's been effective. It's kept them in games, and their offense has been able to put up about half a run more per game on average. That's usually a recipe for success.
Yeah, I think understanding the home run rate, where they're third best in the league, and also the ground ball rate, where they're third best in the league. So even though they don't get strikeouts, they do the other things of the FIP calculation well, right? So they're not like, it's very interesting.
The other part of it is the Cardinals are blowing away every other team in team outs above average. It's like a double-digit lead.
Yeah. So they have the right personnel on defense for
Donnie Barrels.
Oh my goodness, of all people.
Yeah, let's go.
They also have very hateable players like Brendan Donovan on their team,
really
which is a hallmark. To you. Yeah, hateable to me, but yeah,
Tommy
he's
Edman
like
was only hateable to you because he was good on the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say you can't hate the other engineers. Just wrong.
He's an engineer.
Yeah, Tommy Edman is a environmental engineer from Stanford.
Oh.
Graduated with his degree.
I lost my train of thought there. Thinking about hateable players. Sorry. I guess.
Do we have any hateable starting pitchers? There's one that other teams should hate, based on just the way that he sometimes talks about other teams, and that would be Michaelis.
Oh, I don't know what he says. So
he talks smack. A lot.
Okay.
But no, my question for you actually is kind of along the same lines. It's not a surprise that the Cubs pitching is good, because this Cubs team, I mean, we talked about it earlier in the offseason. This is just a really good, well-built team. From the offense is clearly the side that you look at and you're like, okay, this is scary, especially with the breakout of Pete Crow. But there were some massive hits to the rotation pretty early in the year. You had Justin Steele go down. He's getting Tommy John. He's out for season. And then Shota Imanaga has been out for how long?
Like 6 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, so it's been a significant amount of time, most of the season so far. Yet the Cubs are a little bit better than the Cardinals at stifling the runs. Not a ton better. I think it's only 3. Yeah, there's 2 teams in between, the Reds and the Phillies. Otherwise, the Cardinals and the Cubs pitching staffs are about the same. Now you guys are getting Shota Imanaga back on Thursday of this week. So it's a 2-part question. 1, is this rotation behind Matt Boyd, Colin Ray, Ben Brown, Jameson Tyone, and then recently Cade Horton. Is it actually this good? And then two, when you get Shota back, do we expect it to stay on pace, get better, or what are you thinking?
Yeah,
One would think
so
get better, but it's been
I think
30
the
games.
first part I want to talk about are the veterans on this team that have kept us afloat, with the two big names being out for basically the entire season, Boyd and Tyon. These guys have been like fantastic. Tyon, he just goes out there. He's a very Cardinals like pitcher. He doesn't get strikeouts. He just kind of goes out there and he delivers quality start after quality start. He's going 6 innings, 7 innings, 6 innings, 7 innings. He gives up like 2 or 3 runs every single game, and he keeps you in every single ball game. And pretty much the same could be said about Matt Boyd, who's leading this staff. He's pitched 85 and 2/3 innings, to a 2.84 ERA.
It's the most innings he's
And
pitched in a couple years, isn't it? Because he's been pretty
yeah,
injury prone recently.
I mean, yeah, he had Tommy John in 23. He came back mid-season in 24, and he basically hasn't had a full season since 2019.
He's not pitched 80 innings since 2019.
Yeah, so pretty much, I'm a little bit concerned about how he'll be able to manage innings as we go forward in the season. But right now, like when he's out there, you feel really good about the Cubs' chances on that day. So they've got those two guys going good for them. The
He's
Colin
also in a.
Ray,
I just wanted to mention, as far as going forward workload, he's also an 11-year veteran. I think if anyone can figure it out, it's probably going to be that guy.
yeah. And then the other guys who have been kind of doing the fill in, like you got Ben Brown, who
Is
shows
not
talent,
having a
but
good day.
he's not really having a good season, to be honest. He's extremely inconsistent, um, but you can clearly see the potential that he has.
Yeah, and he's
Um,
25, so he's got
yeah,
time to grow into it too.
he does. And then Colin Ray, who's kind of the journeyman who stepped in for Imanaga when he went down with his injury. Initially was really good, but in recent starts, he's really struggled. He kind of he's not a guy that you want making like 30 starts for you. You want him more in that swing role where he
That
can pitch out of the
that
bullpen. He
Steven
can make
Matz six
yeah,
starter lone
exactly.
relief guy.
And he's doing a fine job. He's not been horrible or anything. He's eating innings. Um, Cade Horton is one that's pretty interesting because he's a former first round pick and he's made his debut and it's gone surprisingly well. Like each start, it seems like he's getting better and better. He's faced some tough teams and done well. So I expect him to stay in the rotation when Imanaga comes back. But he's the key to getting back on track because right now Brown's getting crushed and Colin Ray's kind of getting crushed. So they need this one more steady guy in there. And then I think they're gonna go make a big splash in the trade deadline
You think so?
and trade for a big starting pitching.
Are they going to
Player,
have to
yeah.
take on a big contract, or do they have enough capital to be able to trade?
I think they've got massive amounts of prospect capital. They have plenty of
Ballesteros is
money.
pretty much ready for the majors at this point. He'd be a pretty big trade piece unless you guys want to bring him up behind Kelly.
No, I think he's probably the guy that's going to get traded.
But now as we kind of talk about this and look at this, I'm actually seeing a crazy amount of parallels between the two rotations here with the Cardinals and the Cubs. The Cubs obviously have the edge on top end talent here in Shota and Justin Steele. Now, this is basically if Sonny Gray and Eric Fetty got hurt for the Cardinals and our spot starter in Steven Matz filled in for Colin Ray and Mike McGreevy was actually in the rotation. He's not a first rounder, so there's a little bit of a difference there between Cade Horton and Mike McGreevy. But it does seem like a very similar position that you guys are in. And because honestly, the way that the season's been going for the Cubs rotation is how I anticipated the Cardinals rotation to turn out this year, where we had a couple guys that just fell flat on their face, which hasn't been the case. Every guy is like low 4 ZRA at worst.
No. And one other thing that I noticed about the Cardinals is they've been, as opposed to the Cubs, they've been really lucky with the pitching injuries because basically all their starters have been healthy all year.
Yeah.
And
Well, and that's exactly what my point was like McGreevy is the next guy up.
yeah, and he's
Matz is like
actually, I
if
think
we
he's starting tomorrow.
yeah,
So they're
so
going to go like
we've
six
done
man.
like a quasi 5.5 man rotation recently.
Yeah.
So but yeah, he's been getting some turns, but he's not like consistently every 5 days, which is a little bit weird. And then once Quinn's back and healthy in the minors, if he gets back onto it at some point, they're gonna have to bring him up. So
Yeah.
granted, we got a long time before we get there because he's got to get healthy first, and then he's got to be successful. So
Okay. I got a player question for you.
all right.
So maybe the most surprising thing about the Cardinals players that I'm noticing is what in the world happened to Nolan Gorman's power? The one tool that I thought he would always have. He has not shown up at all this year. He has like 4 home runs.
Yeah, um, that is true. He also has spent a lot of time not actually playing. He's appeared in 49 games, but he's only actually played in like 30 something of those. He's pinch hit a couple times here and there. He wasn't really getting consistent at bats until about 2 weeks ago. Um, and at this point, it kind of looks like they're platooning him. And so I think just he got off to such a bad start. And I don't even know if he has options left, does he? He has 2 minor league options left, so I'm not really sure why they haven't optioned him. But I think it's partially because it goes against their whole we're going to give these guys time to run. But now that we're actually competitive in a way that they didn't expect to be, well, now you can't just throw them out there because you have Brendan Donovan, who's like one of the best like contact hitters in the league right now. Not by average, but like number of hits, he's up in like the top 5. Um, and like he plays second or he plays left. Well, you can't bench Victor Scott because he has 22 steals and phenomenal defense and is hitting 250. That's great for what we need out there. So you have 2 spots to deal with. Lars is in the lineup every day, whether he's good or not. And then it's whoever else you have. And really, that's been anyone besides Gorman.
Yeah,
You've
and I was
seen a
going to
lot
say
of
that
Burleson.
before Herrera was recently injured, he was playing DH a lot
Yep.
because they needed his bat in the lineup, and that would be a logical spot for Gorman to fit if he didn't find a position, but he
Yeah.
couldn't because they needed Herrera in there
Well, and
every day.
Herrera has been hands down our best hitter on the club when he's healthy.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's the problem is he's not really been healthy. He was it a hamstring both times? I know it's a hamstring this time. Trying to
I think
remember
it
what his
was.
first injury was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've had not so much luck with the injury bug there in the catching position. Um but I mean we've got some pretty solid production from Pedro Pajes, and Pajes is great at working with the pitching staff. So they're fine leaving him in there. But because of that, you can't justify the worst defense from Herrera catch, let Gorman DH when Gorman's also not hitting.
Yeah.
Like you'd rather have the good catching and the we know you're not going to hit. Anytime you do, yay. And yeah, it's just in a weird way, the Cardinals were kind of lucky when Jordan Walker was hurt. Like I hate saying that because I love Jordan Walker. If anyone who's actually watching the podcast, second row, this card right here, that is a massive Jordan Walker auto to 5. I love the dude. He is not getting it done. Still young. Time is starting to run out on his chances, but I still think you give him the run over Gorman. pretty much any day of the week.
Well, it seems like they're sort of like a platoon now at this point,
Pretty
'cause
much.
which
They're
is
they're waiting
unfortunate.
for one of them to do something, and then that guy's gonna get the leash and he's gonna run with it.
Yeah.
But while they're
Yeah.
both struggling, it's like who do you give the at bats to?
Yeah. But it's just unfortunate because Gorman a couple of years ago, he like had a break season and it seemed
Yeah,
like he was up and coming, like he was gonna be a fixture in the Cardinals lineup, and then the last 2 years have been miserable.
yeah, and like, and now Walker before his injury had started tweaking some things in his swing with Brant Brown, right? For some reason, I was
Yep.
thinking he was the pitching coach. He is the hitting coach, right? Brant Brown.
Hmm. Yep.
They started tweaking Jordan's swing, and it was a very, very short amount of time before he ended up getting hurt. But you could see that something was a little bit different, and that he was seeing success in a very small sample size. So if he hadn't been hurt, it's very possible he was going to actually go and start producing and just take the role. So now that he's coming back from injury, is that going to pick back up? I don't have high hopes, but we'll see. But yeah, I kind of think Gorman is during the offseason, I thought if anyone got moved from this club, it was going to be Burleson. Just because he's a great young hitter, but he doesn't have like a crazy amount of game power because he just doesn't elevate the ball.
Yeah.
There's so much raw power in that frame, but he's just been so darn consistent, which is something that Gorman has never been able to say.
Yeah, that's true. Like they're really similar kind of players, but just one's outproduced the other, so he's the guy that gets the job.
Now, the only thing that Gorman does have that Burleson does not is the ability to actually play a defensive position. Is Gorman is a solid second baseman. He's not an all-star, he's not a gold glover, but he's a solid second baseman. Alec Burleson, I am terrified when he's in the outfield, which he's been a lot recently.
Yeah.
The only thing that makes up for it is that we have one of the fastest men in Major League Baseball, one of the best defensive center fielders, that I think the only guy who can maybe say that he's like truly far and above better than him right now is also in this series.
Yeah, but that's another like negative for Burleson because or for Gorman because the positions that he actually plays are already spoken for.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you unless we just straight up stop playing Burleson, have Newt play right and have Donnie play left, there's nowhere for Gorman to play.
Yeah, and that does not seem like an ideal defensive alignment when defense is such an important thing for the Cardinals.
Yeah. And Donovan is it two-time or just one-time Gold Glove?
I think he was Gold Glove last year.
Okay, he won the initial
Utility man.
yes. Whenever the initial one was, he won that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a weird spot to be in. So, my next question for you, there's really not a hole in the Cubs offense right now. If there were, it you'd probably have to say it's Nico, just because he's not a well above average hitter. He's kind of just an average hitter, but a great second baseman.
Huh, look who just hit a home run of all people, Gorman.
That is 4 2-run home runs.
Yeah. So I disagree, I guess, on the Nico point because he's such a good player, like overall,
Well,
and
yeah,
his
but
defense.
my point being, there's not really a hole. But if there were one position where you wanted to upgrade purely, I mean, I won't say purely offensively. I'll let you figure that out yourself. But if there's one spot that you like in a perfect world would want to upgrade, which position would it be? This is such a complete lineup. every single guy in the starting nine has at least 1.2 WAR this year. They're
Yeah,
well
I
on
think
pace to be above average.
I think my answer is third base,
Okay.
which has been now occupied by Matt Shaw. Matt Shaw got the call at the beginning of the season, and he really struggled. He went down to the minors and he made some changes, and he's looked a lot better. But how good would Alex Bregman look in a Cubs uniform right now if they had him as a part of this stacked lineup?
Ugly. They
It
wear
would be
pinstripes.
it
He'd
would
look
be pretty
terrible.
ridiculous. Well,
Just
however he looked, the Cubs offense would be doing some insane things. They
true.
already kind of are. They've already been one of the best offenses
Why didn't
in
they
the
trade for
league.
Devers?
I don't know. I think it would have made sense in some ways to go get Devers before they got Tucker, of course. But yeah, I think this offense is really, really good. They've proved that throughout the season that they have um, all kinds of really good players that um, are kind of taken to a next level by having two superstar bats based on performance this year in Tucker and PCA, who's the big surprise. But if there was one weak spot, I think it's third base right now.
Question we've had. Do you have any a third question for me on the Cardinals, or we?
Um, I guess I have a feeling they're not going to do much at the trade deadline because that they usually don't do much. Would you say that's what you think too?
Yes, that is what I'm thinking. The only thing that I could potentially foresee, depending on, and honestly, I think this series heavily impacts what the Cardinals are going to do at the deadline. Like if the Cardinals win tonight and they lose the next three, I mean, we're still above 500. We're still very much treading water, but we're behind Milwaukee. We're starting to move back in the standings a little bit. I think at that point they would start to look at who are some of the uh, guys that are blocking, like a Mike McGreevy, like a Quinn Matthews. Yes, we need to cover the rest of the innings for the year. Yes, we are still in it, but what is the cost benefit analysis of maybe trading an Eric Fetty for the half year that we have left on him, or year and a half, or whatever it is that we have left on? Do we trade like a Phil Maton, who we got on a 1 year deal? Do we do some of these small moves that could allow some of these young guys that they wanted to get a look at, but then we accidentally were good? Like, how do they start setting it up for next year unless we're very clearly still in the running and could overtake the Cubs to take the division, because getting a wild card spot's going to be hard in the
Yeah,
Central
the
this
other
year.
two divisions are quite good.
Yeah. Like the Brewers right now are in that third spot. The Cardinals are only a game behind, but there are, well, I guess there's not really as many teams that close to it as I thought. San Diego is the only other team that's ahead of us. Cincinnati's a couple games back. And then after Cincinnati, Arizona's the only other one that's close. And then everyone else is below 500. So uh,
Yep.
maybe Maton and the bullpen is really the only moves they'll make. But if we start losing a lot of games and it's not Fetty's fault, they will try and move Eric Fetty.
Makes sense, yeah.
They should try
Okay.
and move Michaelis, but no one's going to want him.
Does he have another year? I think so,
I
right?
think so.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the. I'll reciprocate the question. The Cubs are primed to make a big splash at the deadline.
Yeah.
Is that big splash going to be pitching depth, which seems like it's the most obvious place to add for any competitive team? Or is it going to be trying to fill that consistency at third base?
Yeah, I really don't think that is in their eyes, a priority. I think they're just going to go with Shaw because the rest of the lineup's so solid. I don't know what real improvement they could really get. I mean, Shaw's not terrible, and he gives you decent defense, and he's getting better, it seems like. So they'll just go with him. He's a 9-hole hitter. It's not like he has to be a 120 WRC plus. He can be average, and it's fine.
Yeah, when the rest
Um,
of the club is 110 or higher, you can deal with that one guy a little.
yeah. Uh, but yeah, I think it's not just pitching depth. It's going to be pitching depth and like a needle mover. I would say they're going to go get
So you
one
think
of
they're
the
going to go
best.
for a number 2 or a number 3 guy?
They're going to go for the best, like guys that are available. Whoever those guys end up being, if it's Sandy or someone else that we're not thinking of at the moment. But um, oh my goodness, PCA.
Dang. I thought that was gone.
But I think it's with the Cubs, it's less of a question whether they're going to be in the race or not. I feel really confident that they're going to be in it all the way through. They're not going to like fall out of it in the next month and a half.
Yeah, this Cubs team is different from the ones of the last couple years, it seems. Like
It definitely feels like it.
you've got the young guys that you traded for recently, and Michael Bush, who is proving to be a very, very, very good first baseman. The Dodgers Freddie Freeman was better, and honestly, I get it.
Yeah,
Makes sense. I'd choose him too. Um, but with him bringing in Tucker, the breakout of Pete Crow, like it just, even if Pete falls back to earth and is the slapstick contact hitter with speed that we kind of expected him to be, and not the 21 homer in June guy, um, there's not really any guys here that if have much fall off to fall off. Carson Kelly would probably be like the one I would expect.
yeah. And Amayo's coming back here in a few weeks. So Kelly's been playing a lot recently. But when they were kind of splitting 50-50, that was the best catching tandem in the league for a stretch there. And yeah, I think it feels like this team is primed for like an actual playoff run. And I mean, first we got to make the playoffs. It's not going to be easy. The division is proving to be a lot better than probably anybody thought, top to bottom, because the Reds are not out of it. The Brewers are surging. The Cardinals
Yeah.
are pretty good. Like it's not going to be a cakewalk to win this division. And
in the Pirates, when you face them, it's kind of hard to score against them at every or 2 out of every 5 days.
who's the second guy?
Usually, like one guy
It's
figures it
Andrew
out for
Heaney.
a start.
Yeah.
I mean, like Mitch Keller's not been horrific.
Yeah, he's been okay. But yeah, I think it's going to be a fascinating stretch run this year in that division. I think it might stay close for a while.
I agree with you. I honestly don't know which teams are gonna. I think ultimately it'll come down to just 2. I think at some
Yeah.
point before September, it'll be a 2-horse race. I cannot tell you right the second who that second horse is going to be. I doubt it's the Reds, but the Reds also just added a big piece to their rotation here and are calling up Chase Burns, I think, to start tomorrow, right?
Yep. Yeah,
So,
I think it's watching the Cubs every day. It feels like they should have a 10-game lead or something in the division, but I think that's just a testament to how well the other teams have actually played. They're good. The
yeah,
other teams
because
are
like
good
I sit
too.
here and watch the Cardinals every day, and like it's frustrating for sure at times because we don't often score like a ton more than we give up. It's usually like a 2-run game. Um, but you get to the 7th inning down 3, and with the Cardinals, you're fairly confident that they're going to make a comeback and at least make it interesting, and they usually do. And so you watch that and you're like, well, dude, we could be winning more of these games, and this could be an incredibly good club with just a few minor tweaks. And so yeah, like the Cubs seem like they should have a 10-game lead, but you see the Cardinals do this. You see the Brewers now starting to kind of figure things out, and they're surging. And their pitching staff, I think, is the thing that I still question the most. And
Yeah, but it's been
I
getting the job done
well,
in a
and
big
that's the
way.
thing. I don't know why I question it. It's the Brewers. They're going to be fine.
They do it every
And
year.
now they
Yeah.
get Jacob Mizorowski up, and he, in
Oh,
2 consecutive games to start his career, has had at least a no hitter going into the fifth.
yeah, unbelievable. And
And
they're
one of
getting
them was a
Brandon
perfect game
Woodruff
going
back
into the
here.
fifth.
Yes.
I think I got off topic.
That's okay. But yeah, so Cubs Cardinals finally playing a series, and they're going to be playing plenty of meaningful games in the next 3 months, which is very good. It's going to be fun.
I'm curious to see with how often they're going to be playing each other. I mean, obviously, you and I don't remember it that well because we were two, but all the videos and things that we see of like the McGuire Sosa chase for 70, that summer of '98, are we going to see that same animosity between Ollie Marmol, who is a hothead, and Craig Counsell because of how often these clubs are going to see each other in the next couple months?
That would be kind of fun, but I feel like the rivalry is like more dead than it's ever been between the Cubs and Cardinals. And I think some of that is actually because of stuff like the scheduling. It's like they just don't see each other. I don't know. It's I'm not really sure why. That maybe it's just the specific people that are involved in the game that don't get too animated about
Yeah,
stuff
I
like
mean,
that.
Willie can get animated, but that's also his former club, so it's like how much is he really gonna?
Yeah.
I think Nato's the hothead on the Cardinals that would get going. Is there a hothead on the Cubs?
I feel like the Cardinals have more of the hotheads than the Cubs right now.
Oh, I'm sure we've got a
Yeah.
couple.
No, I nobody really gets too mad on the Cubs.
I think Helsley in the bullpen, even though he's blown a few too many saves for my liking this year, he'd be a
Yeah.
hothead.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got? We've been talking about this
Okay.
series for a while.
Let's move on here. So what else do we got? My rundown unloaded.
For sale.
Chris Sale had a very unfortunate injury the other day. He actually fractured his rib cage, making a defensive play between first base and the pitcher's mound. He fielded a ball. It was super athletic, really good play. He got the out, and he stayed in the game. And he actually got the next batter out. It was in the ninth inning of the ball game. He was going for a complete game. He ended up getting pulled at 117 pitches, having finished 8 and 2/3 innings, and it was a phenomenal start. And Chris Sale has been just fantastic over his last 10 starts. His ERAs in the ones. He's basically back to being the Cy Young guy he was last year. He just had a little bit of a slow start in his first few starts, but he's fine. He was fine, and now the Braves are dealt one more blow to their playoff chances, and because Chris Sale's not going to be back for like a while.
Well, so just looking at the dashboard stats on Fangraphs, the only thing that's really that much different, or that's like significantly different from 2024 for Chris Sale, the only thing is his home run rate. And it's because last year was an insanely low 0.46.
Hmm.
Like it's still really low and only 0.7, but that had been enough to inflate his ERA. Um, but like he's down to 2.52 season long ERA. Um, and his FIP is right about the same. Like he's been phenomenal. So what I guess with this, so he pitched through it for another batter.
Yeah. And then a few days later, he was like, "This doesn't feel quite right." Then they got the imaging done, and they found out it was a rib cage fracture,
So
which
is
makes
it
me
like
think it was like,
a rib
well, the fact that they a rib cage makes me think it's like multiple ribs.
or somewhere in the sternum?
Could be, yeah,
But
yeah.
it seems like it would almost have to be like a stress fracture versus a.
But it's not a stress fracture, right?
Well, but he didn't like get hit in it, right? Or did it hit
I
off
don't.
his chest or off his like chest, and then
No,
he
I think
fielded
he
it?
just kind of like landed, rolled up on his body somehow, making the play.
So being 36 caught up with him.
Yeah, and Chris Sale always has weird
He
injuries.
needs some milk.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But there is a young guy taking his place. I thought I'd tell you about him. His name is Didier Fuentes, and he's 20 years old.
I know a little bit about Didier Fuentes.
Yeah, so he got called up, and I mean, the guy was pitching like in the low levels of the minors as a 19-year-old. He had like a 93 fastball. This year, he got his big ramp up in velocity, and he's throwing like 96, 97. And the Braves have a history of bringing their prospects to the majors really fast. They've done it with like AJ Smith-Shawver and some of these other pitchers. They seem to do it like every year with a couple guys. They have no qualms about getting guys through their system really fast. And I'm very interested to see how Didier Fuentes does.
So it'll be interesting because he's already in one major league start, uh, pitched more innings than he did on average in the minors. He was averaging 4, and he went 5 innings in his debut. Um, he definitely struggled a little bit in his first game here. Got a few Ks, but let me just click game log. That 3 Ks in 5 innings. He gave up 4 earned runs, 1 home run. Faced 22 batters. Just pitch count. I'm not seeing a pitch count. But yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen worse debuts, so that's
Yeah.
a good sign.
I just throw out the debuts, honestly.
Well,
For
yeah,
the most
I
part, it's
just
just like,
and a lot of it's jitters and there's a lot of stuff, but
yeah,
it's the only thing I have to go off of right now. Like, there's not
yeah.
a whole lot of minor league stuff to go off of, and especially not at the
True.
high levels. So
But I just think that the fact that the Braves have done this before gives me more confidence that Didier Fuentes is going to be pretty good.
yeah, so they gave him 1 start at AAA before bringing him up. So a little bit of a Chase Burns treatment, with the
Yeah.
exception or with the difference being Chase Burns was a college pitcher taken number 2 overall in the draft,
Yeah.
and Didier Fuentes was a 16-year-old international signing.
Yeah. Yep.
Just a small difference there, but
Okay, let's talk about the hottest team in the league right now, the Rays, who
the Braves.
I think they've won like 22 out of their last 31 games. They're quietly just a couple games behind the Yankees in the standings, as the Yankees have hit a little bit of a rough patch. And the thing that really stood out to me about the Rays is that they are they've got like a very stable starting rotation. They've actually got like the same guys making all their starts. I'm gonna see if I can name their starters off the top of my head.
All right,
I
I've
don't
got
have
it
it
pulled
up.
up. So
So they've got Shane Boss, Taj Bradley, um, Drew Rasmussen, and who am I missing?
through 120 pitch complete game.
Oh, Zach Littell,
Here you go.
and
Former
then
Dodger.
my guy Ryan Pepio.
Yep.
Yeah, so we always talked about like the Rays using openers and like weird situations for their whole staff and using their bullpen a lot, but the thing that I like about the Rays is they adapt their philosophy for the personnel that they actually have, unlike some other teams who kind of like force this is our way, we do it this way. The Rays are kind of like,
Could
hey,
you
now we
possibly be talking? Forcing
What's
guys to
that?
just do it their way. Who could you possibly
Yeah,
be talking about?
I don't know. Um, but now that they've got traditional starters, there's no like replacing that. There's nothing better than having a staff that can soak up these innings and you don't have to rely on a bullpen. And they kind of have that now with their starters going deeper in games. Um, some of the guys are still like works in progress, like Bradley and Boz. But overall, I mean, they're backed by that staff. And then now their offense is rolling in the outdoor stadium.
Yeah. And they've got a couple young guys that really intrigue me. I did want to mention this because this is a little bit wild to me. So,
Jonathan Aranda.
well, I'm still on the pitching staff real quick, and then I was going to
Oh,
switch. One pitching staff note here. So they've got 439 innings as a starting staff, which is a lot, really.
is that number
Um,
one?
it's not number one, but it's close. It's
Yeah.
number two. I 1 1/3 innings to Philly.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but they have that. They have the 13th best starter ERA. Yet they are down like 20th in the league in starting pitcher WAR,
Hmm,
which
okay.
I am really curious to see what stats don't like them because that's a lot of bulk. That usually gets you some WAR, and they're one of the better starting staffs. So you'd think that it would give them a little more love than 21st of 30. So
Hmm.
I just thought
That's
that was
interesting.
interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, on the position player side, I am really intrigued by a few of these guys, namely Jonathan Aranda. Um, and numbers pulled up now. So Aranda has quietly and really quiet because it's the Rays and nobody pays attention to them.
Yeah.
But he's hitting 325 with a 897 slug. Um,
Slug,
or not slug, OPS.
which I believe is like third best among first basemen. So he's been great.
So he's a. Is it crazy to think that he's like slightly better Yandy?
Maybe, yeah.
Because he's not
And
getting a
Yandy's
lot of home runs, but like his OPS is high. His
yeah.
average is higher by a lot than Yandy.
I could see the home run starting to come because I've been following Jonathan Aranda for like 4 years now, and his numbers in the minors are impressive. Like it just seemed like he was going to be a guy that could just come up and immediately hit, and the Rays never gave him opportunity. He would always come up and like play for a little bit, get hurt, be a part-time player because he's a lefty. And now they gave him the job to start the season and he just ran with it and he's been the best he's ever been at the major league level. And it's not surprising when you look at the minor league numbers.
Now, the guy that I actually did want to talk about, I mean, I did want to talk about Aranda. He was going to be one of them. But the dude that I'm so happy exists for Tampa is their young third baseman in Junior Caminero.
Yeah.
Um, is he playing short this year as well, or is he
No,
primarily just third?
third base.
Okay. Um, but 21 years old, got 19 home runs. He's got a couple steals. He's hitting 265. He doesn't strike out a ton. He's not great defensively, but he's also not a big liability. And he's got plenty of time to grow into it too and learn the position at the major league level. But this is a club that, without naming names because I don't want to get into that situation, they had a massive letdown in about 2022. They signed a young guy to a lot of money that was supposed to be about this good. Maybe a little better than this, but I think Caminero's got a ways to go before he's actually hit his peak. So it's really, really nice to see that Tampa is actually able to get that young star player that they thought they had before that whole thing. in a guy like Junior Caminero.
Yeah. He's also kind of like Yandy. That's a Rays player type where they hit a lot of ground balls, but they hit the ball extremely hard. But Caminero is already finding more of the power stroke, and the fact that he has like near 20 home runs before the All-Star break as a 21-year-old, I mean, he's gonna be a major, major power hitter for a long time.
Yeah. And the Rays just quietly have a whole bunch of guys.
Brandon Lau's like having an awesome bounce back season.
I was gonna say Lau's having a great season. Yandi's having a pretty solid Yandy
Good
season.
season. Yeah.
Um, Jake Magnum, who has only played in about half their games, but he's actually come out and shown some ability that I didn't know he had. He's hitting about 320 in 43 games. Not much power there, but he's got 10 steals.
Mhm.
So between Caballero and him, they're leading the club in steals. But they've got some young, interesting guys that are definitely helping them out. Cameron Misner, he's they're hoping that he'll start to come around, and he's been showing signs of life. So I think this is a up and coming club now. I'm less concerned about them as I was at the beginning of the season because some of these young guys are playing well.
Yeah. Can they track down the Yankees?
Yes.
Okay. We don't have to
And
go in full detail on that one. I was just curious.
I think it's going to be pitching for the Yankees and potential fall off from one or two hitters that's going to
Yeah.
kind of make it tough for them to keep dominating like they were early in the year.
Yeah, it's just funny how that works because if you had asked about this question like 3 or 4 weeks ago, people would have
Absolutely
been like,
not. The
"What are you
Yankees are running
talking
away with the
about?"
division.
Yeah, and just like the Cubs, who feel like they should be ahead by more, the Yankees, it's the same situation where they've kind of come back down to earth, and the other teams are succeeding, and it makes things really close.
Yeah. I will say the AL East is a little bit like the NL Central 2 weeks ago when the Brewers were like a lot further back than I thought the Brewers would be at any point in the
Yeah,
season because Boston's way the hell down here.
Baltimore.
Toronto is not way down here, but they're not close to the Yankees right now.
Yeah, I mean the Rays are obviously benefiting from Boston and
Toronto.
Baltimore. Like,
Oh, and yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, good for them.
Yeah.
Um, one more here. So Mets, they demoted two of their young players to the minors, Francisco Alvarez and Luis Angel Acuna. The Mets have lost 12 of their last 14 games. They had a recent 7-game losing streak that ended on Sunday, but it's it seems like every week it's like a different team in the NL East that's like going through a rough patch. It was the Phillies one week. It was the Nationals on their 11-game losing streak. It was the Braves having bad weeks. Now it's the Mets' turn to struggle. And I mean, I was kind of shocked to see Alvarez get sent down because he had a rough start to the season because he had the hamate injury. He missed several weeks to start the year. They kind of rushed him through rehab. He came back, and then he's just kind of been very mediocre. He's not been showing like power, and
Which
they
was
don't
kind of
have
his
like,
main hitting tool.
yeah. But the part that's weird about the demotion is it's not like they have a better option. They're like bringing up some random guy that stinks.
Honestly, it feels like a confidence move for the guy. Like send him down, build their confidence, get him back up
I guess.
as quickly as you can, which is 10 days unless there's an injury, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Luis Torrens is taking over at catcher. Not really ideal there in the slightest. And then second base, I mean, they do have some decent options for second. With Luis Angel going down, Jeff McNeil is taking his spot back. Basically, is what's happening.
He's been playing great too since he's been back.
Yeah, and then they have Ronnie Mauricio on the bench, who's another young guy who plays second base.
Yep.
And so they'll be able to use him a little bit. Where I'm a little bit confused is why. So McNeil is not a downgrade defensively, or sorry, offensively. He is a downgrade defensively from Luis Angel, but that's just to say Luis Angel is a very good defensive second base, and Jeff McNeil is me.
They play him in center field now. You know that?
Did not. Although
Yeah, they've been playing him.
they have Tyrone Taylor out there most of the time now, so
Yeah.
but it just this club is so weird to me because it seemed young and fun for a couple weeks with Juan Soto, with Alvarez back, and people were excited for him, with Luis Angel, with Brett Beatty, who's for a little bit was doing some stuff. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's continued.
It has not.
It has not. But now you demote both of these guys. You're putting old guys back in their spots. This just went back 3 years to an old Mets team that had like a superstar, two if you count Lindor, I guess. And then a guy that hits a lot of home runs, but that's the only thing he's known for, even though he's definitely better than that. And Pete Alonso.
Yeah.
But this just it looks like a 3-year-old Mets lineup instead of what I thought the Mets were going to be this year, and I don't like it.
You know, I just had a realization. Juan Soto is not a young player to me anymore. I know by age he's like 26, but he's not a young player. He's
No,
been around for so long.
he's year 7. Like
Yeah.
he's not young as far as
And
experience.
his baseball skills are of an old player. I mean, he's a fantastic elite Hall of Fame caliber player, but
Yeah.
he's not like got the young man skills.
No, but he's still got swag.
Yeah, he does.
And I think that's the thing for me is I thought this Mets team finally had a little bit of swag. I thought they were finally going to be something fun to watch. Like
I think they still are.
I love watching Lindor. I love watching Pete Alonso hit bombs. I don't love Tyrone Taylor, Jared Young, Luis Torrens, Jeff McNeil. I personally hate Jeff McNeil. Like I just want that to be known. I do not like him.
You've mentioned that many times on this podcast.
I'm aware. Also, my tongue's blue. Having this summer freeze. It's like a bomb pop Mountain Dew.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Really good. But yeah, this is not the Mets team that I want to see. Like I thought Uncle Steve was bringing us a cool Mets. Not a team that could very easily go lol Mets.
Okay, I don't think you should lose the faith. I think things are going to get better when Alvarez comes back from the minors, Vientos comes back off the IL, and things are going to start clicking again. I think this is just a little blip.
I'm not losing my faith. I'm just saying that just like our temporary thing is like we're just going to old and boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on.
Come on, guys.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Gonna steal that from that Ocho Cinco's. I don't remember who does Come On, Man.
I don't know.
I'm gonna steal it from him, whoever it is. All right. Last thing, you think?
Last thing. Jeimer Candelario was designated for assignment. And if you remember, about a year and a half ago in December 2023, I had some choice words about Jeimer Candelario signing with the Reds. Do you recall?
You mean these choice words?
Go back to 2022. He was non-tendered. He was 22% worse than league average as a hitter. And he had to sign a 1-year, $5 million contract with the Nationals, who are like bottom tier team. So who's to say that he doesn't go back to being more like that guy than the guy he was in 2020? Yes. So this is an unfortunate situation for the Reds because they gave him $45 million and he gave them negative WAR in a year and a half. He was injured most recently. He just got activated from the IL and got DFA'd. They didn't really have a spot for him, and he was not producing. And I hate to say that I told the Reds so, but I kind of did. But here we are.
So I would like to come out publicly on the record and say, why'd you got to do this to me, Matt or Reds? You knew I was going to play devil's advocate on that exact thing.
Yeah.
And I did it, I thought, very well. And then you did this to me, and you made me look like an idiot a year and a half ago that no one remembered until I just brought it back up now. But yeah, -1 WAR. Almost all of that was in 22 games this season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 113 average this year. He did have 2 home runs, which kept him from being below -1 WAR this year. Last year, 225, 279, 429, and 112 games. His 20 home runs inflated his WAR. But even then, most of them were solo shots.
Yeah.
Like,
it was not a good tenure. It will not be remembered very fondly by Reds fans or anybody, really.
Is Jeimer going to be remembered by anybody fondly other than the Tigers specifically for 2021?
Probably not.
All right.
But
you've sold me.
Yeah. Congratulations on his career, because it's probably over.
Has he got to 10 years service time?
I doubt it.
No.
Because he debuted in 16, right?
He debuted in 16. He's got 7 and 38 days. I don't know how that's going to count for this year. Is it just going to be the number of days that he was on the injured list?
It. He gets service for being on the injured list.
He gets a full year, or he just gets the days?
No, he doesn't get a full year. Just the days till he's cut.
Yeah, okay. That's my point. So he's going to be not at 8. So he's got to somehow get 2 more years of service time, some club, after a couple years like this with Cincinnati in order to get his major league pension.
Yeah, and to be clear, I don't want to be like overly harsh on Jeimer, because he's not awful. He's probably way better than he's showing right now. And there's a chance he just like latches on with some mid-tier team, and then he can have more of a career.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. And I think that he's definitely going to try for that, because major league pension is a deal.
Yeah, he's done it once before. When he got non-tendered by Detroit, he signed with Washington for $5 million, and that's where he like revived his career in 2023. And then he was able to parlay that into his big contract with the Reds. So it's very possible he could do it again.
He's probably never getting this big contract again.
No, that was a one-time thing.
It'll be a couple mil a year max, is my guess.
Yeah.
Well, good luck to Jeimer.
Good luck to Jeimer.
Hopefully next time you don't absolutely tear the team a new one for signing him.
No, I won't.
He'll go to the A's, and you'll tear them a new one. Calling it now.
We'll see how that plays out.
Perhaps we should be doing that for a different reason.
That's a story for another day. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk to you next time.
Bye. If you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcasting app or YouTube to make sure you don't miss any future episodes. Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Getaway Day Pod. If you enjoy card collecting, check out our sister YouTube channel at Getaway Day Cards.